The wind howls through jagged cliffs, the sea crashing angrily against stone, as if nature itself rebels against the encroachment of humanity. Sacred waters churned into frothy chaos once whispered tales to the horizons, revelations lost to time. Here in the rugged embrace of Scandinavia lies a world molded by both fear and ambition, the world of the Vikings. Yet beneath the veneer of violent raids and brutish conquests, there exists an intricate tapestry, woven from trade, exploration, and a hunger for knowledge that strains against the very confines of the human soul. The camera dives beneath the stormy surface, piercing through dark waters where flickers of iron and gold mingle with dreams yet unfulfilled. Shadows of longships, their dragon-headed prows slicing through the waves, speak of journeys gone awry, battles fought beyond the edge of reason. This is not merely a chronicle of warriors, this is the story of a civilization at the crossroads of chaos and creativity. The echoes of battle resonate in the cool evening air. As men don their leather armor and grip mighty axes, their faces contort into grim masks of focus, an urgency shimmering within their steely gazes. Yet the world they inhabit is not solely built on aggression, it is also a realm of commerce and cunning. Villages hum with artisans crafting tools, traders bartering precious goods beneath the watchful eyes of both gods and men. It is in this paradox of ruthless warriors and shrewd merchants that the essence of the Viking Empire lies hidden, a duality that begs exploration. But how did these fierce raiders earn their reputation across distant shores? What drove them to carve a legacy woven with blood and trade? Could beneath all that chaos lay a yearning for connection, both with lands unknown and people unknown? Gliding seamlessly, our lens captures snippets of Viking life, juxtaposing the ebb and flow of their existence, bustling marketplaces contrasted against the terrifying clamor of a raid. The hushed tones of merchants haggling over silver coins entwined with tales of supposed prowess, a violent ethos bolstered by breathtaking sagas of gods and monsters. The heart drums with curiosity as the audience leans in. Can these fierce figures, painted so vividly as marauders, transcend the simplistic brushstrokes of history? Beneath the cloak of war we find them anchored by their environment, vast forests that conceal mysteries and seas that promise horizons yet to be discovered. Grain ripples in fields, carrying within it the dreams of farmers struggling against the elements. Time seems suspended in the delicate balance between nurture and destruction, where survival and ambition fuel the relentless tides of fate. Who would dare embrace the chaos that lies between creation and annihilation? Amidst this revealing imagery, the mindset of those who sail to foreign shores unravels, a tapestry richly embroidered with traits both noble and base. Where does ambition end, and where does greed begin? How does hope manifest amidst the fear of the unknown? And what sacrifices are made at the altar of discovery? As dusk falls, the sunlight bleeds through rugged peaks that rise like sentinels over the land. In shadowed corners, whispers of gods and spirits remind the Vikings of their own mortality, instilling an urgency that propels them towards the future even while clinging to ancestral traditions. Here lies a tension, palpable yet tenuous, looming behind their straightforward gaze, forging men who balance the blessings and burdens of their heritage. Their stories, rich with struggle and triumph, create a mosaic of the human condition, one that longs for glory while trembling before the unknown, identifying themselves not just as conquerors but as seekers. Yet what of the external view? The eyes of Europe turn to the north, watching these wild figures emerge from shrouded mists, cloaked in both awe and fear. How do perceptions shape the narratives we tell? How much truth lies in the legends fabricated by those left in the wake of Viking sails? As evenings turn to dawn, illuminating the frost-laden earth beneath a copper sun, we journey onwards, crossing vast landscapes drenched in stories that remain silent but compelling. The very ground here has witnessed the forging of dynasties and the falling of empires. Here lies the space where Vikings planted not only their axes but also their ambitions, where iron met timber and the legacy of sagas began weaving itself into the fabric of existence. With each pulse of time, the heart of this civilization beat wildly, urging it to seek out realms unexplored. What led them down the winding paths of error and innovation? What fears lay just beneath the surface of their relentless pursuit? We stand on the brink of understanding a paradox wrapped in history. The Viking Empire is not merely a tale of rapacious war cries echoing across stormy seas, but a narrative of profound exploration, molded by the dialectic of chaos and structure, hardship and fortune. The tension now rises as we peel back the layers of legends and live a story that beckons from the shadowed corners of time, one that invites us to witness the depths of human vulnerability amid the aspirations that propelled them into destiny. As our narrative approach unfolds, the intrigue deepens. Each event, each conflict and victory carved into the annals of history serves only to beckon us further into the realm of Vikings, inviting contemplation. How does fragility coexist with power? And as twilight beckons, let us wander forth with reverence, for we are mere vessels, cradling the secrets of an empire longing to share its truths. The Vikings, as we will discover, are not just a recollection of brutality written in ancient texts. They are echoes of humanity's relentless dance with itself, yearning for intimacy and hope even while shrouded in darkness. And so, with bated breath, we stand at the threshold, a journey unfurling before us, where the Viking world awaits its stories to be told, inviting us to ask the questions we have not yet dared to imagine. In delving further into this coastal expanse where the land meets the tumultuous sea, we begin to grasp how the geography of Scandinavia shaped the Viking spirit, both in its relentless ferocity and profound ingenuity. Rugged mountains rise abruptly from the fjords, creating a natural fortification while simultaneously imposing formidable obstacles for those who would seek to traverse the vast wilderness. Forests dense with towering pines stand as silent witnesses to centuries, their roots entwining with whispers of ancient rituals, sustaining lives entwined with both the divine and the mundane. The very soil beneath their feet tells tales of seasons marked by hardship. The harsh winters intimidate and challenge, encouraging resilience among those who scorn despair. Women, tethered to the hearth yet resilient in spirit, coalesce amidst endless cycles of planting and harvest. Their hands weave not only baskets for fishing, but also the narrative fabric of family and tradition, binding them into the overarching tapestry of a society that thrives on both dependence and independence. Here lies a quiet tension, contrasting the fierce ambitions of men who longed for conquest and those who found sanctuary in the nurturing of life. Yet these intertwining realities hum with an undercurrent of urgency. Trade emerges as the lifeblood of this burgeoning empire. Long before the clashing of swords echoed ominously along the coasts of distant isles, Viking merchants bore gifts of craftsmanship, finely wrought metal tools, delicate jewelry, and the warmth of fur. These goods traveled silently across glittering trade routes, establishing pathways that would soon ripple outwards, connecting the Norsemen to the civilizations beyond, to the lush markets of the Mediterranean glimmering with exotic spices and silks, the far-off whispers of Byzantium and the richness of Arab lands, all merging into a swirl of influence, ambition, and exchange. As settlements burgeon into bustling hubs of commerce, the growth of these towns signifies not only flourishing trade, but also the evolving political structures that underpin Viking society. Here we witness the early formations of a council system, gathering men of particular prowess to advocate and arbitrate, steering communities under the watchful eye of honor and obligation. These thing meetings, such vital arenas for dialogue and dispute resolution, hint at complexities beyond mere conquest and exploration. They offer a glimmer of governance fostering social cohesion, the cultivation of alliances binding clans together, peaks of camaraderie that would later become essential during the battering storms of ambition. Among the incense of trade networks and political gatherings, we must confront the specter of faith, an internal struggle quietly raging alongside external wars. Centuries of Norse paganism, rich with tales of Odin, Thor, and the mystical realms they inhabit, form the very backbone of their identity. Rites practiced under the shadow of ancient stone altars remind them of the gods' watchful presence, weaving spirituality into nature's fabric. Yet with the encroachment of Christianity from the southern realms, an internal schism surfaces, pitting the old gods against a new faith offering salvation, a tension palpable within the very hearts and minds of these ambitious seafarers. What becomes of a belief when tethered to the promises of salvation? As Viking expeditions set forth into the unknown, perceptions expand alongside their ambitions, blending the sacred with the secular in diverse, sometimes contradictory, expressions of identity. Those who embrace the new faith often find it laden with cultural ambivalence, nurturing a desire to belong yet desperately clinging to the old. What fragments of history await those who dare cross the ethereal threshold between faith and fear? And so we arrive upon the cusp of transformation, an entire culture standing at a fulcrum balancing between inherent valor and vulnerable sincerity, driven by ambition yet yearning for meaning. Here, in these vast expanse of cultures meeting and colliding, what frictions and reconciliations will shape the Viking narrative that swells beneath the dueling realms of loyalty? While we witness the might of Viking warriors recounting their feats along the shores, it is the unseen daily lives of villagers that cradle their legacies with burgeoning tension, subtly pulsating on the edges of these great tales. Farmsteads nestled amid rolling hills and shimmering lakes exude a different sort of heroism, a quiet resilience that echoes across generations. Mothers guide children in age-old practices of agriculture that bond them with the earth, ensuring the continuity of survival against a backdrop of perilous seasons. Yet the complexities don't stop at tilling the earth or crafting weapons. Tales of interconnectedness subtly tease their way into familial structures, where emotional ties bind clan members together just as firmly as the forces of nature and trade might pull them apart. Faced with the complexities of lineage, the fluidity of intermarriage between clans fosters alliances that fortify against external threats, the very ambition for power on the battlefield woven intricately with the human spirit's desire for kinship and cooperation. In these tender relationships lies vulnerability. It manifests in the laughter shared by men returning home from voyages loaded with treasures, but also the pangs of grief retained by women awaiting their fates on the shores. Yet, as each raft converges towards new horizons on the boundless sea, sorrow and joy intermingle. The moments of shared kinship adorned with tales of valor become resplendent threads in the collective memory, stories told in low tones at night, fragrances of food mingling as shadows flicker in the firelight, where feasting and the mutual sharing of strength emerge as extensions of vivid lives. What if this dualism formed the very cornerstone of their power? And as an audience, how might we reveal the intricate connections between those who dwell on the precipice of aggression and those who nurture within the bounds of home? The stage is set against the encroaching shadows of rising ambitions and perilous paths, yet between the cruelties of power and the transcendence of hope, we begin to discern patterns foreshadowing upcoming transformations. With every voyage undertaken by Viking longships along distant shores, we ponder the unyielding push towards the unknown, driven not just by conquest but by the ever-deepening human desire for connection, a yearning forever tethered to bravery and frailty. As we delve deeper into the Viking narrative, we will soon face the fateful decisions that draw the lines between bold exploration and the virtues of sustaining wisdom. While the allure of power beckons, intertwined with the continuous evolution of belief systems, trade routes, and human connections, we prepare ourselves to witness how these dynamics unfold. The very essence of a civilization rugged yet refined, fierce yet susceptible, is about to reveal its most transformative chapter, beckoning us to ask, how fragile is the spirit that dances between destruction and creation? What archetypes persist while lurking in the reach of history, guiding each leg of this voyage towards destiny? With breath held, we transition into this realm where, with each passing moment, the weight of Viking identity swells, revealing truths aching to see the light of scrutiny. A reflection that invites us to not only unravel their story, but also confront the deep currents binding us to our shared humanity. Let us voyage onward, stepping into the unfolding tumult of ambition and discovery that characterizes the heart of the Viking Empire, with its myths, dreams, and human spirit writ large across the annals of time. The delicate interplay between expansion and resilience beckons to unfold before us, illuminating the interplay of shadows and lights that dance within the complex structure of their world. As the day breaks over the horizon, the soft golden light spills into the valleys, illuminating the rugged contours of the land. The early morning mist rises gently from the fields and rivers, carrying with it the freshness of newly turned earth, heavy with promise. In the village of Tonsberg, situated just off the shores of what will one day be called Norway, the rhythm of life begins anew. Here we enter the vibrant tapestry of Viking society, a place where personal lives intertwine with powerful historical forces shaping their world. In the longhouse, the heart of every household, the warmth of the fire dances upon the faces of those gathered around it. The faint scent of damp wood mingles with the aroma of barley porridge, simmering in a pot as mothers stir with grace, offering comfort alongside sustenance. Each bowlful serves not only as nourishment but as a moment of connection. Stories flow alongside the steam, tales of the gods of ancestors past and whispers of destiny that chill the air with both anticipation and reverence. From the youngest child, eyes wide with wonder, to the eldest matriarch, whose lines of age tell their own saga, an invisible bond with tradition stretches across generations, a lifeline woven with love and reverence for the past. As the sun climbs higher, we witness a captivating mosaic of life unfurling beyond the threshold of the longhouse. The men prepare their longships in the bustling harbor, their hands artfully transforming timber into vessels that will sail the unpredictable seas. Each hammer's strike, echoing off the rugged shoreline, reverberates with a promise of adventure, a signal of the ambitions that propel the Viking spirit into existence. Local artisans craft not only functional tools, but objects of beauty adorned with intricate patterns that hearken to their mythology. The delicate interplay of craftsmanship showcases a society that, while driven by conquest, also revels in the art of creation, revealing layers of complexity beneath their fearsome reputation. In the fields, farmers bend over golden sheaves of grain, their toil marked by determination and hardened wisdom passed down through countless seasons. Each seed sown is a silent vow, an understanding that survival is forged from labor and community. Women busy with the harvest bend to the task with an emphasis on cooperation. Their laughter rings through the air, sometimes harmonizing with the lowing of cattle or the cawing of seagulls overhead. The women engage in shared rituals that celebrate the earth's cycles, invoking blessings for bountiful yields, all while grappling with the ever-looming dread of scarcity. Their lives, so rich in the imagery of earth and labor, depict the essential trust placed in nature's rhythm, yet within their hearts lies an underlying fear, the anxiety of an empire stepping into the unknown. As the day matures into afternoon, children scamper barefoot along the paths of the village, their laughter heralding a vitality that is both infectious and grounding. The bond between siblings becomes entangled with the forest, threads of exploration and play merging with tales of bravery they have heard, whispering of legendary heroes and the promise of glory. It is in these moments of carefree innocence that the duality of the Viking spirit thrives, overshadowing the impending calls for conquest that await them in the horizon. The intertwining of nature and humanity, of love and fear, crafts a world in which destruction and creation are forever partners, entwined in a cycle as old as time itself. At sunset, the marketplace thrums with activity, stalls lined with fishnet and vibrant fabrics, each a testament to Viking artistry nurtured through trade. The distinctive clang of metal against stone greets visitors, while merchants remain armed with charm and eloquence, weaving storytelling into transaction. Here, the delicate balance of power surfaces. Each exchange serves as a reminder that even amidst the hustle of the marketplace, the essence of human connection permeates every interaction. A shared glance between traders conveys volumes. Amidst strangers, they become brothers united by ambition, each hopeful that their wares will earn respect, riches, and perhaps favor among the gods. Yet, encroaching shadows linger in the background, mirroring the relentless waves against the shores. The ever-present intertwining of ambition and faith rises as communities confront the profound implications of their choices. The Christian mission, with its promise of salvation and community belonging, slowly births an internal tension that weighs heavily upon the hearts of the people. Here we witness a palpable division, the past and the present clash, a cultural resentment simmering just beneath the surface, seen in furtive exchanges and whispered doubts that punctuate conversations. What would they forsake? The cunning spirit of Odin or the promise of Christ? At the village's edge, the scent of woodsmoke tangles with the voices of villagers gathered around an ancient stone mound, a sacred site dedicated to the Norse gods. Rituals ensue in the flickering dusk, as hearts and reverence converge, lighting the night sky with a triumphant yet melancholy defiance against the encroaching tides of change. Each chant, steeped in history, carries they revere yet are now caught in a whirlwind of contradictions summoned by the dual forces of faith and tradition. The flickering flames reflect hope, forging connections, but also echo despair, murmuring the fear of an identity slipping through their fingers. As the tendrils of night wrap around the village, the duality festers and the atmosphere is thick with uncertainty and vulnerability. Questions hang like clouds above their heads. What are the legacies they are forging? Their aspirations for exploration clash against the sacred semblances of tradition, as warriors prepare amidst the possibility of a journey into hostile lands. Unbeknownst to them, history's current holds secrets that lie hidden beneath the fabric of their lives, whispering of imminent transformation shaped by ambition, yet tainted with loss. Within these flickering shadows lies an incredibly embodied truth, a continued weaving of existence in the face of uncertainty, aspirations chasing remnants of light. As specters of vengeance conspire with the draw of new realms, the collective human spirit shines through the cracks of fear, expressing a timeless story woven with epic ambitions and ubiquitous tenderness. Even as dreams rise high in the heroic tales spun from hearthside to coast, the emotional panorama of Viking life delves deeper into the very core of their essence. The soon-to-be warriors grappling for honor bleed not just for glory, but for those who anchor them to their shared humanity. Their fate intertwines with those who labor by the fire, knitting together the rich fabric of Viking identity, a testimony to their vigor. So we embark on this deeper exploration, peeling back the layers of complexity as we witness a civilization walking the fragile tightrope between creation and destruction. As Viking quests breathe life into bold ambitions and blood-tangled dreams, the troubled undercurrents of their existence become even more palpable. While they aspire towards greatness through conquest, it is through their everyday lives, traditions, trials, and tribulations that we begin to discern the guiding forces of their legacy. Let us venture forth into the heart of their empire, into the veins of ambition and desire that promise both glory and despair, seeking to touch the very rhythm of their struggles as they traverse the crossroads of history and humanity. As the relentless tides of ambition surge forth, the Viking spirit finds itself poised on the brink of monumental transformations, each echoing silently back through the ancestry that shapes them. No longer merely farmers and traders, the figures of Scandinavia begin to evolve into formidable warriors roaming the waves, their fate entwined with the pulse of conquest and exploration. A shadow begins to stretch across the landscape, hinting at the turmoil brewing within their society as whispers of glory fight against the soft voices of doubt. With the dawn of the 9th century, a collective yearning for power awakens in the Norse peoples, a desire not solely for riches, but for the legends they might carve into the annals of history. Figures like Ragnar Lothbrok emerge from the fog of time, shrouded in both lore and blood, personifying the clash between aspiration and the personal costs of ambition. Here we feel the weight of leadership not in the triumphs celebrated, but in the sacrifices that echo throughout the fjords. Each battle fought wears the skin of nostalgia, mingling anticipation with fear. As the longships, elegant in their craft, gather like migratory birds preparing for flight, they become vessels of both connections and separations. The dragons carved into the prow symbolize not merely intimidation, but also the discovery of new worlds waiting beyond the horizon, a marriage of artistry and warfare, a paradox in creation. When sails unfurl against the azure expanse, they capture the wind and promises of distant shores, yet within those same folds lie untold narratives of conflict and clash, a tapestry of ambition drenched in the blood of those who stood in their path. No sooner are their vessels splashed across the waters than they encounter the stark reality of fate altering course. It is against the winds of Christendom that they clash. The encroaching influence of the Carolingian Empire and the growing might of the Roman Church offer both challenge and opportunity. They find themselves caught between the pulls of transformation. As the zeal of missionaries intensifies, their sacred traditions, once held aloft with pride, begin to dissolve into an echo of the past. Yet even in the throes of this profound ideological shift, the restless spirit of the Norse finds ways to navigate and interweave the complexities of faith and heritage. Will they allow salvation to ease the burdens of their blood-soaked pursuits, or seek redemption in more audacious exploits? In these early forays into other lands, the Vikings discover not only the sweet fruits of conquest, traded silks and spices, but also starkly unyielding resistance from those who call these lands home. The clash against the Anglo-Saxons brings both skirmishes and grand engagements, with battles such as those at Lindisfarne becoming the harbingers of Viking achievement. Yet each victory brings with it the toll of lives, brothers lost and families shattered in a quest that sees the Viking ethos uplifted into realms both exalted and nightmarish. The toll unfolds not merely in bodies but in the hearts of those left behind, pondering the intentions of the gods as they gaze out into the cold mist that shrouds their destiny. As Viking embassies reach further into the continent, a cascade of new alliances surfaces, bringing unity at the brink of war. The political landscape shifts beneath their feet, Nordic chieftains rallying to consolidate power while vying for dominance among their own. Here the echoes of their past lives, their ties to familial bonds, are drawn taut in the string of alliances and enmities, reflecting the human need for connection even amidst the battle-tested ambitions of men. Lines drawn on maps of shifting allegiances create ever more intricate designs of sovereignty and power, all held aloft by the promises of wealth, each merchant's claim underscored by the restless pulse of economic pressure. Meanwhile, social unrest brews back home, amplified by the very success of Viking raids. The influx of wealth generates an aristocracy whose grandeur looms over the average citizen. The divide widens, exacerbating the social hierarchy forged in blood and ambition. With every patrician feasting upon plunder and every joyous bard recounting tales of valor, there exists another tale, a whisper of struggle reinforcing the link between privilege and disenfranchisement. What happens to the dreams of honor when the hearthstone turns cold for those left to till the fields, clamoring for recognition amid restless desires? Illustrations of the Viking age are painted in broad strokes of action, yet the tender narrative of human experience offers a critical lens, peering through the uncertainty that lies beneath their celebrated sagas. Each long voyage traverses the perilous waters of both opportunity and loss, stretching the very fabric of Norse society as migration becomes a double-edged sword. It is no longer merely the strong crossing seas to conquer. The burdens of conflict force the disillusioned and dispossessed across the waters, seeking escape, carving new identities in the shadow of Viking ambition. Not merely warriors, they become pioneers venturing into lands untouched, not just for the spoils of conquest but to stake claims in the hearts of those they encounter. Here the pulse of transformation surges, intertwining cultures vibrate alongside the lifeblood of new alliances forged in the crucible of remembrance and invention. A marriage of beliefs emerges from the ashes of devastation, a newer world beginning to take shape from the embers of a once pagan society. In these moments of upheaval, the narratives of sacred sagas intertwine with the evolving belief systems. The Viking ethos remains steeped in the honor of the past, yet as their communities push further along the human journey, they grapple with the shifting tides of faith and destiny. The allure of Christianity dangles like a siren's call, a promise of unity overshadowing ancient rites, calling forth both optimism and dread as villagers navigate their transformed existence. Migratory movements reveal their resilience, a testament to human ambition to forge paths anew in the face of rapidly changing dynamics. As the sunset fades into twilight, the legacy of the Viking Age crystallizes, a narrative meshed in ambition, battle, and sacrifice, yet grounded in an intricate web of humanity's ceaseless search for meaning amid the ever-shifting landscapes they traverse. As they wrestle between the glories of past triumphs and the burdens of emerging divisions, they embody the profound realization that history is not a mere collection of saga nor a passive reflection, but rather a living, breathing entity, consumed by the very aspirations and dreams they have carried through each wave and whisper of time. Thus, in this tapestry of voices and visions, we continue our exploration, not merely to recount the voyages of the marauders, but to uncover the silent creations of legacy stitched into the very soul of those seeking to inscribe their human experience upon the broader canvas of civilization. Awaiting us lies the promise of deeper understanding, a journey that uncovers the hidden currents swaying civilization within the shadows and the light of the Viking Empire, guiding us toward the highs and lows reverberating through history's pulse as we draw closer to their pivotal transformations. As the echoes of earlier ambitions linger like the fading light of day, the Viking Empire stands at a formidable threshold, a moment of both promise and peril. It is the dawning realization that with every conquest, each monumental clash, there exists a shadow of vulnerability creeping through the cracks of their once mighty facade. The very force of their unyielding spirit is now increasingly tempered by the complexities of internal fragmentation and external imposition, the scales of power tipping ever so precariously. In the wake of initial triumphs, the tapestry of Viking society begins to fray. While their longships continue to touch distant shores, alighting upon the coasts of England and beyond, the previously united fronts of clans and chieftains are now splintering into an array of feuding factions, each clutching to the ambitions of individual glory as the scent of blood mingles with the smoke of distant fires. The Norsemen's bold advances into foreign lands have birthed not mere conquests, but awakening discontent among their own ranks. Ambition births rivalry, and rivalry lays bare the cultural and ethical fissures running through their society. The echo of Ragnar Lothbrok's legacy, steeped in valor and audacity, starkly contrasts against the rumbles of dissent growing louder within their nascent hierarchies. As tales of raids painted warriors as paragons of strength, the foundations of their society now tremble under the weight of their successes. The very traits that forged their identity as fierce marauders are now painfully intertwined with the strains of envy and growing class distinctions that gnaw at the fabric of community, a community that had previously basked in the shared warmth of collective ambition. Anxiously, the whispers creep through the fjords and fields, carrying tales of unease to the very places once celebrated for their communal resilience. The spoils of victory, once a feast savored by all, now lay piled high upon the banquet tables of the elite, while the rest look on with hollow dreams, left yearning for a taste of recognition. The surge of prosperity fractures into a widening chasm, where disillusioned farmers and craftsmen stand distanced from the bard's jubilant retellings of heroic feats, caught in an ever-grinding cycle of labor and longing. In this era of escalating ambition, the ideal of collective glory begins to tarnish, and the harsh reality of fragmentation begins to paint the landscape. As the political currents whirl chaotically, the spiritual tide flows, bringing with it the sweeping winds of change, a tide driven by the fervent ideologies of Christendom that encroach upon the Viking consciousness. The promise of salvation hung tantalizingly above, offering a path to unity that is both enticing and fraught with consequence. As missionaries invade the Norse communities with fervor, the ancient beliefs framed in the sagas of old face a crucible of adaptation. Still, the rivers of faith trickle unevenly among the Northmen. Old gods and narratives do not wither easily but instead intertwine with the new, occasionally embracing, occasionally clashing like two tides in an ever-rising storm. Despite these monumental challenges, Norse resilience cultivates paths toward unforeseen adaptation. The age-old traditions of storytelling, once tethered to fierce deities and epic quests, begin to evolve in rhythm with a changing world. The sagas begin to incorporate elements of Christianity, reinterpreting age-old tales through a newfound lens, all while wrestling with questions of identity and morality. Even as the echoes of Odin and Thor resound in the great halls, another voice emerges, the gentle yet persistent call of a singular god gently sowing seeds of hope while uprooting the ghosts of bygone valor. Within this crucible of transformation, the very bonds of Viking identity face a daunting trial. What does it mean to be a Norseman when past glories sing a different melody? The emotional landscape begins to shift, fear intermingles with faith, tradition rubs shoulders with novelty, yet among the turmoil rises a fervor for survival, an eagerness to reclaim a semblance of purpose amidst changing tides. The fierce struggle against external influence forges deeper connections among communities, Once divided, citizens participate in an evolving definition of kinship tied through common belief, aspirations, and the scars left by conflict. Just beyond the horizon, the Empire's luminous glory dims, thrumming to the rhythm of uncertainty. The idea of conquest, once a sure path to greatness, now echoes backward, fingers tracing the unanticipated consequences of expanding too far, too fast. The rising centers of power in England and beyond, fortified by strategic alliances and growing cohesion, ossify against the strain of Viking expansion. Hostile territories arise like fortress walls, rebuffing any notion of domination that once seemed inevitable, and a clearer understanding of human pride unfurls, fragile, inexorable, and tragic. They become aware of a bittersweet irony. Momentary victories crystallize not merely in spoils but in the vulnerability they breed. The realization settles uncomfortably. They have not merely unleashed their own ambitions but invited a response, a darkening tide pushing back against their once dominant sway. Competing factions within the Empire, now fatigued by quests for glory, wrestle with the stark juxtaposition of loyalty and self-interest. Each maneuver, each betrayal amongst kin, draws tighter the noose of suspicion, weaving an intricate web where trust unravels before their very eyes. As the years roll on, the Viking spirit, once aflame with the immediacy of ambition, fluctuates beneath the weight of institutional fatigue. The very structures that empowered the Norse into realms of glory now display cracks and fissures, both faint but tangible. Disputes turn bloody, armies of former brothers clash in violent loyalties, drawing an unctuous map across Scandinavia steeped in conflict that hints at the end, a muted echo of what once surged in triumphant waves. And yet amid the chaos, we witness the prevailing essence of survival. People hold tightly to their stories, woven into the rich Madadide portraits that adorn their walls, where the narrators become both keepers of history and arts. As markets hum with renewed certainty through evolving trade routes, an emergence of cultural exchange emerges. Artifacts of the North meet the wares of the South, their essence a reflection of innumerable identities melding into a complex mosaic. Out of fragmentation birth connection, familiar yet strangely foreign. The landscapes where great ships once roamed shift under the imprint of new inhabitants. No longer merely the domain of Viking marauders, they have become a tapestry of historical continuity, layered with tales of resilience and survival. As Norse societies cling to vestiges of their glory, they grapple with the specter of transformation, the once proud empire now ensconced within the crucible of changing worlds, a fragile echo of its former self. The monumental threads of memory weave through the populace like silent rivers, coursing through generations who carry the weight of their ancestors' ambitions forged in gold and valor. They are aware in their deepest core that the interim of the past, the ghosts of glories long faded, hold the keys to understanding their identity. Faced with the inevitable ebb and flow of historical consequence, they witness how time reshapes them, a subtle but insistent reminder of the potency and fragility entwined within the fabric of civilization itself. As dusk descends upon the Viking Age, there remains a flicker of hope. Across weathered shores and resolute settlements, the sound of industry grows louder and the voices of the people begin to harmonize once more. The lessons from their forebears echo across generations, urging a confrontation with the future amid the echoes of the past. The world that once felt immutable is shifting softly into something altogether different, leaving lingering questions in its wake. What legacy shall we carry forward? What essence of our shared history will guide us as we weave our own stories within this ongoing tapestry of humanity? In this moment, we pause, at the crux of transformation, neither casting aside the shadows nor embracing the light without reflection. We unravel the ramifications of an empire's rise and fall, anticipating the continued exploration of a legacy woven through both hardship and hope. Each pulse of history reverberates through time, affirming that the Viking Empire in its quiet decline has not merely vanished. It lingers still in the ethos of those who carry its memory into the ever-turning wheel of human experience, caught in the powerful current of time, an ever-present undercurrent that shapes not only the past, but also the visions of tomorrow that beckon just beyond the horizon. The stones of the long-forgotten structures whisper along the coastlines once traversed by swift longships, now wrapped in the silence of time's embrace. Viking settlements, once vibrant hubs of ambition and enterprise, lie in quiet repose under the watchful gaze of the heavens, a landscape shaped not by the fervor of conquest, but by the gentle passage of seasons and generations. As twilight unfolds and the horizon softens into shades of amber and indigo, one cannot help but feel the weight of history exhale, releasing its breath into the cool, crisp air. What remains, enduring through these echoes, is a complex legacy intertwined with both grandeur and inevitability. The spoils of their conquests, the treasures amassed from distant lands, now seem like fragile relics held aloft in the quiet hands of archaeologists and historians, each artifact a testimony of a civilization that roared across continents but ultimately returned to Earth. A proud helmet here, a delicate brooch there, a tapestry of daily life now reduced to mere fragments, yet within these remnants lies a story pulsing with vitality, the Parkinson's of human emotion stamping the very essence of existence into stone and metal. Surrounded by verdant hills and stoic fjords, an intangible connection persists, threading together the hearts of those who come after, the storytellers of today, who preserve the narratives that whisper through the wind. The tales of gods and heroes, of voyages and conflicts, drift through time, observed keenly in the flickering light of bonfires under starlit skies, where the sagas entwine modern hearts with ancient souls. The very fabric of those narratives shapes the identities of the cultures that flourished in the shadow of Norse ambition, as the old gods and tales swell and evolve within the tapestry of modern sensibilities. Yet buried beneath this homage to ancestral achievements lies an unsettling fragility, the clarity of victory often veiled within shades of doubt. With each swing of the sword in past battles, the Viking ethos not only heralded triumph but also crafted a reality where survival became an ever-present companion, a constant reminder of the sacrifices made and the wars fought among kin. What echoes out of these churning waters is less the clash of swords than the intricate patterns woven through lifetimes, where moments of joy are threaded through the fabric of relentless perseverance. As we traverse these landscapes of reflection, we grip the threads of inherited dreams, ambitions, and fears. From the wind-whipped shores of Scandinavia to the bustling markets of towns once thrumming with the heartbeats of Viking traders, the passage of time reshapes the contours of history with a grace embedded in inevitability. The contours of Norse mythology, once established in icy fjords, transformed and melted under the warmth of newly adopted ideals, pathways merging toward the golden rays of a common faith. Darker clouds of disagreement lingered stubbornly overhead. There, beneath laughter and loyalty, uncertainty flowed like a subterranean river, shaping destinies beyond their control. What we witness as centuries unfold is the intricate dance of survival, pieces of lost power intermingling with the enduring strength of tradition. The sagas that once spun tales of heroic feats now carry memories of those who walked before, the blacksmiths hammering their dreams into iron, the weavers intertwining histories into cloth, the farmers tending fields that link communities together. Each life finds resonance within the great halls where warriors once gathered to recount tales of glory, and now echoes of the everyday merge into fresh narratives blooming anew. As memories fade into shadows and civilizations crumble, it is not merely the monuments that succumb to the ravages of time, but the very essence of human experience that endures, guiding us like stars overhead. The Viking Empire, with all its complexities and contradictions, leaves its indelible mark upon the very psyche of humanity. Echoes of ambition and conflict ripple through contemporary life, reminding us of our shared struggles, of pride and vulnerability, of unity torn by strife and of sacrifice immortalized. Beyond the immediate glories and relentless storms of fate, the question that remains is how we shall carry forward the essence of those who came before us. The Viking ethos, that unyielding pursuit of honor and belonging, now rests upon the shoulders of those who stand at the precipice of modernity, awaiting the call of purpose to carve narratives of their own within an unfurling tapestry. History, with its expansive canvas, lays out before us, inviting our reflections to swim among these undulating waters, whispering truths and conjuring connections that transcend mere dates and places. Even amidst the ruins, stories persist, sailors' ships transformed into their surroundings, becoming humble shadows cradled by time's gentle hand. They remind us of the impermanence of human achievements, yet echo loudly through modern corridors of thought, igniting discussions that transcend the ages. Their message urges us to reflect on the journey, the essence of humanity, the tensions of ambition coupled with love and longing, all stitched together by the threads of kinship that bind us across generations. Each legacy weaves through us, surging forth and flowing quietly, much like the soft trickle of a brook that meanders across a peaceful landscape, echoing the vibrant life it carried. The names and faces of those brave Norse adventurers fade into obscurity, a tapestry left behind, occasionally rattled in the winds of remembrance and subtly entwined with our own identities. In this quiet moment of reflection, the dusk descends fully upon our journey through the heart of Viking ambition. As the wild landscapes gradually surrender their outlines to the encroaching night, let us carry forward the weight of memory, both its beauty and its fragility. Let us acknowledge that history is not merely a record but a living breath that lingers in our actions and beliefs. As we step back from this expansive tableau and reflect upon what has been, we understand that the people may have gone, yet their world still resonates through ours, their legacies ebbing and flowing like the tides along the shores they once called home. The narrative does not vanish. Rather, it weaves itself into the very fabric of existence, softly echoed in the traditions we cherish, the connections we nurture, and the aspirations we pursue. And so, as darkness blankets the horizons of time, We remain the keepers of stories, the stewards of history, entwined with the pulse of humanity, echoing forward into the vast expanse of the unknown, the silence whispering truths that only those who listen can fully grasp. With every breath taken beneath this vast umbrella of existence, we trace the fading silhouettes of ancient dreams, and perhaps in our reflection, we will find the keys to unlock the mysteries yet to unfold, an endless journey that entwines the faded past with an ever-unraveling future, steadfast in our shared quest for meaning.